musical morning, grade 6s. My name is Colleen and I am a French horn student at Brandon University. I'm here today to help you out with some French horn tips and strategies so that you can practice effectively while you're at home. Let's get started. Tip number 1. Let's talk about how to do a proper mouthpiece warm-up. The first step to being able to warm up well is making sure that you understand where your lips are placed within the mouthpiece. Here's my little drawing of where you should position them. Imagine that this blue circle is the edge of your mouthpiece, and this orange line is the split or the part between your upper lip and your bottom lip. You can see here that 1/3 of the mouthpiece cup will have your bottom lip, and about 2/3 is going to have your top lip. So it's not actually a 50-50 split between how much lip you use. There's actually more top lip present within the mouthpiece. Here, I'll show you how I do my embouchure. So you can see here that when I put the mouthpiece on my face, I have 1/3 bottom lip and 2/3 of my top lip within there. So like this. So you can see how the split in my lips isn't actually in the center. So now that we know where to put our lips, let's talk about how to buzz. When you buzz, your lips should make the same shape within the cup as you would when you spit out a sunflower seed shell. So everyone try that at home. It's just a short puff of air that splits the lips, and within the mouthpiece they'll buzz. So put the mouthpiece to your face, do the little attack just like you're spitting out a sunflower seed, and then sustain the air so that you get a buzzing sound like this. Now you give it a try. In order to feel both of your lips really warmed up, it's important to make sure that you buzz low tones and high tones. Now, how do you make different sounds on this little thing? You don't have any buttons to push. Well, it happens with your face. So if you can whistle, and even if you can't whistle, you can do this too. Try just whistling a nice middle tone and then going up and down like this. Without being able to whistle, you can actually still hear yourself do it if you just blow air and do this. I'm just tightening that little space in between my lips, and it forces the air to go higher. I'm not feeling tense right here. I'm nice and relaxed. Everything's changing just within the space between my lips. So when I put my mouthpiece on my face, and I do the same thing, it sounds like this. That's a really great way to get ready to play. You can even do the same thing by going lower. And then put the mouthpiece on your face and try this. So my favorite way to warm up is to just play long suspended tones and work my way up and back down, and then even try and go a little bit lower and come back to where we started. So to recap, you get the higher pitches by just slightly tensing that little space between your lips to make it go higher, and you get the lower pitches by relaxing that slightly, so then the air is forced lower and makes that sound. So that's a great way to get ready to play. Now that we're all warmed up, let's talk about how to put our instruments together. While I'm warming up with my mouthpiece, I left my French horn within the case where it's nice and safe and no one's going to step on it. So what we're going to do is take our 2 hands and very gently pick up the horn and make sure you've got a firm grasp of it. So when I pick it up, I have 1 hand on the bell and 1 hand here, nice and firm. So I take my horn, put it on my lap, and all you have to do is take the mouthpiece and gently set it inside the lead pipe and just give it a little twist. You don't need to hit it in. It'll get stuck and your teacher will not be happy with you. Trust me. So just place it in and give it a nice little twist. And then we're all ready to go. Before we start to play, it's always important to make sure that we have our best posture. So sit on the very edge of your chair with your feet about shoulder width apart. And when you hold your horn, you don't want to have this hand too high in the air like a chicken wing or too low, kind of like a T-Rex arm. You want to have it nice and even like this. So what I always say is take your arms as if you're about to do a ninja bow, and then leave your arm in that angle so that when you hold your horn like this, it's right there. Then you're going to take your other hand, just like you're cupping water from a little lake. And you're going to take these fingers and place them inside the bell, just like so. Then you've got lots of support, and your arm over here isn't doing a chicken wing either. You're just nice and ready to play. With these fingers, you'd want to have them nice and relaxed, just sitting on the edge of each key. You don't want them too tense like this, or reaching too far. Just on the edges, so it's nice and comfortable to play. Now, in order to have really good tone, you also have to have good breath support. This means that when we breathe in, it's down here, not up here and all tense. So let's try that together. Take your hand, place it on your tummy, and breathe in nice and deep. I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm not breathing in like this. I'm breathing in like this. You can see the difference, right? That's how you're going to get good tone. So let's practice a little breathing exercise together. Take your hand, place it on your tummy, breathe in deeply for 4 counts, and then make an attack and breathe out for 8. It'll look like this. 1, 2, here we go. Just like that. Now let's do it together, and I'll sit sideways so that you can see what it looks like from here. 1, 2, here we go. Now let's put that breath support to good use. Here I'll show you the difference between good tone and bad tone by playing the first note of our B-flat scale. Just see if you can hear the difference. Here's example number 1. And here's example number 2. Could you hear how number 2 was more muffled? I breathed in just up here in my chest, and it didn't come out as clearly. Now let's use our good tone as we play the first 3 notes of our B-flat major scale. We're going to play it with 3 different articulations, the first one being legato. When you play legato, you want to make sure that your notes are nicely tied together and smooth. So when I play legato, I'm going to slur each note, starting on number 1, going up to number 3, and then back down to number 1. It'll sound like this. Notice how I didn't attack each note, but instead I let the wind take it up to the next one. For our second articulation, we're going to practice our staccato notes. So instead of legato, where we're not attacking, here we're going to give it a very strong breath support attack. So it's going to sound like this. Very, very staccato. So here we go. I'll play 4 staccato beats on each note, going up to number 3 and back down to number 1. 1, 2, here we go. The third articulation exercise we're going to do is for accented notes. They have a little hat like this on top. Now we treat them similar to the staccato notes because they have the same strong attack like this, but they're not as short as staccato notes. Instead of sounding like this, like the staccato notes, they're going to sound more like this. The air drives through the note and it doesn't cut it short, but it still starts nice and strong. Here I will play 4 beats for each of the first 3 notes of our scale, and I'll play them with the accent. They'll sound like this. 1, 2, here we go. Could you hear that difference? Instead of being so short, they actually last a little bit longer, but they still have a strong attack. Now we're going to take these articulations and apply them to a song. Using the first 3 notes of our B-flat major scale like we've been doing, I'll play hot cross buttons for you, and I'm going to use 2 of the articulations we've been talking about. I want you to use your listening ears and see if you can pick out which ones I'm using. Here we go. So the two articulations that I used were the accented notes and the staccato notes. You can hear it clearly now. I want you to give it a try, and you can even use legato too. You can use any of these articulations and play around with them to make your own version of hot cross buns at home. Now I'm going to show you a really great warm-up exercise that you can do anytime you want to get your lips ready for playing. It can be before band class while your friends are setting up, or at home while you're practicing. Let's start with the first 6 notes of the B-flat major scale. We're going to hold each one for 2 beats, but we're going to do it in a really cool pattern. We'll start with number 1, then we'll go number 1, 2, back to 1, number 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, and so on, adding a note until we get all the way from 1 to 6 back down to 1. So it'll sound like this. This one might take a bit of practice, because it is quite a bit of endurance required. But if you work your way up, even if you start by just doing 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, that's a great start. And then the next day you can try adding going from 1 to 4 to 1. And then the next day add going from 1 to 5 to 1. And then maybe in a week you could do 1 to 6 to 1. So just give that a try as you're practicing at home and see how far you can get. And remember, if your lips are sore, give yourself a break. Don't hurt yourself. Our final exercise for today will be echo patterns. I'll play you 3 different patterns that each have notes from the first 6 notes of your B-flat major scale. Within these patterns, there will be different articulations that we've talked about. So that's legato, staccato, and accented notes. So listen carefully. After I play each excerpt, you can pause the video, you can back it up and listen again, and then once you feel like you're ready, try and play it back. Then, when you feel like you've got it, move on to the next one. Here we go. Here's example number 1. 1, 2, 3. Here's example number 2. 1, 2, 3. Here's example number 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much for joining me for this lesson today. I hope that you learned lots about breath support, having good tone, and different articulations, as well as using our oral skills as we listen and try and play things back. Happy practicing, everybody, and stay safe.